Hey guys, it's your boy Brett, aka Sir Kittyfish, aka Skitty. Welcome you to my channel. This is episode 4. Eventually, I'm going to stop counting episodes and just run it and record. But since the channel's new, I'm still fleshing some things out, and it's a work in progress. Progress, not perfection, right? So yeah, today has been pretty good for the most part. It was kind of half and half, but it ended up on a really good note. So first off, I woke up today fairly early. There's a couple of errands that I wanted to run. I initially ended up going down the road, and since my food stamps hit, I picked up a month bus pass to start the new month out. My van has been kind of a piece of crap, to you know put it lightly. I've been having a lot of problems with it, and ever since I got into residential treatment, I let the insurance lapse on it on purpose, mainly because I needed to focus on my recovery and nothing else. I had been putting it off for way too long, and I needed to de-stress from everything, everybody, and really go hard for my recovery, and I did. I've been putting in the work as best as I possibly can. I have been working on things that I missed the last time I was in recovery. Long story short, the last time I was in recovery, I was with the program after my wife passed away for, I want to say, pretty close to 6-7 months. And I ended up cherry picking a lot of things in my recovery that worked for me, and basically put whatever I didn't feel comfortable with off to the side. Long story short, I fell back into my addictions, and this time around I've been learning a lot after experiencing that relapse. And it was definitely an eye-opener. It was one of those things that I had to put my pride to the side, as opposed to thinking that I had everything figured out. So anyway, I ended up making it over to the store. I got my bus pass, and since my food stamps hit last night, that was really awesome. So I ended up picking up a few food items, went to the dollar store and picked up a few knickknacks that I needed, just personal cosmetic items that I knew that I wanted and needed. And I picked up a new set of headphones, some earbuds. My old ones were pretty ghetto, so I ended up getting that taken care of, and just made sure everything was in the up and up, tied a few loose ends, and just made sure that I was comfortable in my recovery with some of the small things that may eventually turn up and become a problem later. So anyway, I ended up running into one of the main counselors while I was waiting for the bus, and he gave me a ride to the office. Shout out, dude, appreciate you. And yeah, that was really cool of him. We ended up chopping it up, and he's a fan of the R&B group Shy, which I grew up on. I have basically been training my voice ever since I was a little kid, and that was one of the songs that I used to sing word for word in the shower, and just practice training my voice. That was one of the things that I worked on as a kid, and there is a story behind that. And yeah, so it was really nice hanging out with him, getting to know him a little bit better, and ended up making it to group. And due to yesterday's events, there was a couple of brothers there, and I'm not going to say that I felt awkward around them, but just something in my vibe was off, because yesterday when we were playing basketball, I kind of bitched out on my partner, my homie, my teammate, and we were playing 2-on-2, and I was just not in that type of energy to start throwing down in basketball. I mean, I've done pretty good in the past. I'm older now, and my energy level was just kind of on chill mode. I was actually waiting to play pool, and these guys were really competitive, really energetic. So I couldn't necessarily be mad at them. They were just spitting facts and having fun and doing their thing. So I bit off more than I can chew. I'm willing to admit my faults, but I felt kind of bad afterward, because, one of my brothers, he ended up, trying to come up to apologize, and he was not at fault at all. And, my other brother, I was in residential with, we've had our ups and downs, but he's a cool guy, and I don't want him feeling any type of way or weird, so I had to clear the air and, make things right with my boys. So, there was that part of the day. It was kind of eating at me a little bit inside because, I like these guys. They've never did me dirty, never did me wrong, and when I step out of pocket, my energy is off. I want peace, love, and happiness for me as well as everyone around me as best as possible. So that was one of the things that I ended up addressing later. But after I got to the office, I ended up having my first neurofeedback session. Had to do a UA today. That went pretty quick, but I ended up having the nodes stuck to my head, and what they do is they track your brain patterns, and we watch Netflix for 45 minutes to an hour, and the screen dims in neurofeedback, and the sound dips as well if you're not paying attention. And you get to pick what show you want to a certain degree. I mean, they have like a kind of a child lock on there. Like, you got the majority of the stuff, but nothing like porn or too crazy. They got some pretty decent movies on there. So it was one of those times where I actually did get the chance to rest and relax and enjoy it. It's something that I've done before, so I decided to. I've watched bits and parts of it, but I restarted Avatar, the live action series on Netflix from the very beginning to see some of the parts that I ended up missing, because I really like the show. Shout out to Netflix, shout out to Nickelodeon, shout out to all of the actors in the last Airbender Avatar live action show. It's really cool. So it's something that I've actually started to enjoy. We ended up having a group afterwards, and our counselor was bringing up the fact that a lot of people who are complacent in their sobriety end up falling back into their old addictions because they're not living life. They're not focusing on their goals. There's nothing to strive for. So they end up getting bored, or they end up getting too comfortable. And so we ended up naming out some goals. 2 short-term goals and 2 long-term goals. My 2 short-term goals, one was gaining employment. I'm currently unemployed at the moment, but I'm trying to figure out the program at this point, and bus schedules and my appointment times and how long it takes for me to get to here to there. I've been keeping a couple options open in regards to searching for employment, but I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. My recovery comes first. Also, another short-term goal was graduating. I am in the program. It's a 9-month program. I've already completed 2 months, but I don't want to get too cocky and not keep my eyes on the prize. It's one day at a time. That's the only way that I can survive and do this properly. So I'm definitely staying humble in that aspect, because the last time I thought I had things figured out, I backslid pretty hard. My 2 long-term goals is, one, I do want to get a better vehicle, something that's a little bit more reliable, because the van that I had when I initially purchased it, the check engine light was on, and then it wasn't necessarily a problem. It was like an airbag problem. But from the time that I had it up until now, there has been just a laundry list of lemon problems that have arose. From a bad exhaust, needing the engine to get switched out, an oil leak, the brakes need to be changed, part of the transmission's going out. I mean, the heater went out, the horn went out, like, it's just been a total nightmare, especially since being homeless. I was living out of my van for, I want to say, a little over a year and a half, give or take. So I was raw dogging it pretty hard for a hot minute, and let me tell you, some of the struggles while living on the road. I forget as a nomad, sort of say, doing van life and whatnot. It got pretty crazy, and there's stories in that in itself. So anyway, I'm looking for, I'm gonna be saving up eventually for a reliable vehicle. I may need to get a beater or two in the meantime just so I can make it from here to there easier, but my main goal for the long term is to have something that's reliable, something that's a decent vehicle, something that I end up choosing, not that I'm stuck with. And my second goal was actually doing this. I have always, me and my wife back in the day, we started a YouTube channel, fell back into our addictions. We wanted to tell people about God, Jesus Christ. That's my Lord and Savior. In recovery, I am a lover of all people, whatever your higher power is, or if you don't believe in a higher power, universe, call it what you will, that's on you. I'm willing to stay in my own lane. I don't try and press God on people, because that used to piss me off personally when people were down my throat about, God, Jesus, this, that, and the other. I came as I was, and he accepted me for who I am. So, more power to you, Lord Jesus. Thank you for everything that you've done for me, Lord Yahweh and the Holy Spirit. All glory be to you in my aspect. What that means for anybody else, I mean, more power to you if you're a believer. If not, I'm okay with that. I've made my amends, and I've made peace with that. As long as you're happy and you're on the right road for that is right for you, then so be it. I'm not, trying to make the vibes weird, So that's against my MO. I hate that. It drives me insane. So anyway, my second goal was to get this channel started. After my wife had passed away, it was kind of a personal goal for me, because we had big plans on getting our channel going and doing van life together, talking about Jesus and how he's helped us out. And after she passed away, I really wanted to restart this channel kind of as a thank you to her, and kind of a memento of, hey, we did it. You may not have been here, but you're here in spirit. You're not here physically, but you were a part of this journey as well, and I'll love you forever until the day I die. And so that was, she's a part of me. She'll always be a part of me regardless of what happens for the rest of my existence. That's something I can never deny, and a part of me will always love her, most definitely, for sure. So I had fallen off my last time I was in recovery. I fell back into my addictions pretty hardcore, and I ended up making some pretty crazy videos at the end. And one of my counselors, when I was calling to come back, after I relapsed, he brought it up. He's like, hey, you're doing good. You made some pretty wild videos there towards the end. And I watched a few of them, and I didn't even know that I had done some of them. I'd totally forgotten about that. And so I just erased everything. I'm not here to be a hypocrite. I'm not here to press my values on anybody, for damn sure. But because I'm not perfect by any means, and I want to be in the right headspace. I want to do things properly and right if I'm going to do them. And so now that I've got my 60 days, there was a few times where I procrastinated on getting the channel started. I don't, it's rough, it's rugged, it's raw fulfillment, and that's one of the channel name that my wife wanted as our channel. And that channel still exists, but as you can tell, it's been out of commission for quite a while. I me, my wife, and my sister-in-law, we did leave a couple of good videos on there, and I cherish that channel. I won't touch that channel anymore, and that's why I'm wanting to start this channel up new, something fresh, something that I can carry forward into the future and still keep the memories of that channel intact without it being manipulated or messed with. A part of our journey was to go back to that channel and start re-recording, but since she's passed away, out of my love for her and her memory, I'm just going to leave it as is for the time being. I might go on there and tinker around a little bit just so that, you know, YouTube knows that there's action on it and just doesn't automatically delete it because there hasn't been any, you know, action on it for a while. But other than that, no, I'm not touching it. But that was one of my main goals for the future, is to get this channel up and running for a multitude of reasons. One, it helps me out in my recovery. It helps me stay accountable. It helps me share. It helps with my depression, getting it all out and speaking. You know, I've always been quite the introvert for the majority of my life, unless you got to know me. If I knew you and got to know you, then you know, you're one of the few people that, you know, knows that I'm a very talkative individual and you can't get me to shut up. But you know, I was a lot more open when I was younger, class clown, you know, always getting in trouble and stuff like that, having a good time. But when I got older, and you know, I ended up not only pushing people away, but having people step out of my life, so my walls went up. After being homeless, my walls got even higher. Really, the closest people to me were few and far between, and my closest people were my wife and my brother-in-law for sure, especially after my parents passed away and her parents passed away. You know, it just seemed like us, you know, like we were very close. And after her and my brother-in-law passed away, I felt very lonely, you know, even with some of the family members who did reach out to me. You know, it was a struggle, you know, because they were all in different areas of their life. My stepdad stepped in, you know, before my wife passed away, and he was very integral in keeping me alive and her alive. Before the tragedy happened, my sister, we ended up getting closer. My other sister were kind of estranged because, you know, they're my half sisters, and my half brother, he unfortunately passed away by suicide, which I didn't even know until later after reconnecting with my half sister. So yeah, there's been a lot of death and tragedy in my life, and yeah, I just wanted to, you know, kill myself. I wanted to smoke and drink myself to death. I wanted to walk in front of traffic, you know, and get hit by a vehicle after they passed away. So yeah, I've experienced a lot of, you know, crazy stuff, PTSD, anxiety, depression, loneliness, the gambit goes on. But yeah, one of my main goals, long story short, was to get this channel up and running again, and do it the right way and take as much time as it needs. If it pops, cool. If it don't pop, I'm okay with that. My real main goal would be to, you know, if my story and my experiences help you out and bring you a brighter day, that makes me happy. That's my MO. I love it when people are happy. Even if I'm not doing so well, you know, if I can see another person smile, that brings a smile to my face too. You know, I live vicariously through that type of energy. And, you know, if my story helps you stay sober another day, if my experiences with my higher power lead you closer to God or your higher power, that's awesome. And then also some of the stories and craziness that I've been through, I've been told by a few different people I would make a good therapist. I've been told by a few people that I'd be a good narrator. I've been told by a few people that I would, you know, be a good evangelist, a pastor for people. And then I've also been told by a few different people that my experiences would maybe potentially my not only my sober experiences, but my experiences with some of the craziness that I've been through, might get a good laugh out of, from somebody, just like, wow, how crazy is that, So I just want to share that, portion of my life with you guys. It doesn't have to be all sobriety based, it doesn't have to be all God based. Like, I've thought about doing videos on, doing karaoke. Like I said, I've trained my voice since I was a kid, doing mukbangs or mukbangs, however you pronounce it, and just doing crazy fun stuff sometimes and sharing those experiences as opposed to just being like locked in, a certain genre of the type of videos that I'm supposed to be making. I want to make it fun. I want to do, different stuff and bring up different topics and everything like that. So anyway, that was a cool group. The afterwards kicked back and relaxed for a while, and shout out to Chevron. They had free hot dog Friday day, so I was going around calling it Free Wiener Friday. Call it what you will, but Chevron hooked all of their app members up with a free hot dog, and the local Chevron in my area ended up hooking me up with a free hot dog. So thank you, Chevron. Thanks, dudes at the Chevron, man. That was, pretty cool, you guys, for at least having them available as opposed to not having them on the burners. Like they knew what was up before I even had to ask. So that was pretty cool of them, and pretty cool of Chevron to give out a free hot dog on a certain day. That was very kind of them. I appreciated that. Anyway, on the way back, we ended up having another meeting, and this is where my vibes I had to air it out, because I don't like having those weird vibes messing with my mental. So I explained that I had a good day, ended up running a few errands, picking up some food, stuff like that. But I was still kind of dealing with those weird vibes. Not so much that I was angry with my brothers that I was playing basketball with, or my teammate or the other guys or whatever, but I was still just having that weird feeling of like, I bitched out. I ended up taking off. I left them hanging and was just kind of like, hey, I'm not having fun. I'm not in the right energy to be going pro on basketball right now. I'm just trying to chill, kill some time, and hopefully the pool tables open up. And they were going pro. They were there to play the game for real. And I bit off more than I can chew. So I was like, peace, I'm out. Like I'm not having fun trying to keep up with you guys and stuff like that. So I'm gonna dip. But that came off kind of a little edgy. I understand that, so I wanted to explain to them and apologize to them, like, hey, I shouldn't have just up and left like that. I was feeling some type of way, and I needed to exit the area and not let it ruin my vibe. And like I said, I ended up playing some pool, having some fun for the rest of the day, but I didn't want to leave my brothers in that atmosphere where they were feeling some type of way about me, like, hey, fuck that guy for just dipping, like, because I fucking do weird shit sometimes, and I'm not perfect, but I am a man who will speak my mind, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I will own up to my side of the street to air things out. If it hits, cool. If it doesn't, that's okay. People are gonna have their own opinions, their own vibes, but peace, love, and happiness to all of you, as best as possible. And so I ended up explaining things. They all took it into consideration and showed me a lot of love and grace, in their aspect. So I was glad that I had the chance to kind of talk to them and explain how I was feeling personally inside, and let them know, like, hey, like, I'm not angry at any of you guys. You guys did nothing wrong. I'm the one that actually ended up dipping out and maybe potentially made shit weird between us because of my actions. So I owned up to that. And the dudes were really cool. And after that, the counselor ended up taking us over to McDonald's. Shout out to you guys for putting some of your budget towards feeding us. Ended up grabbing a couple of burgers, caught the bus, made it home. My chore for the night was to do a little bit of house cleaning in the kitchen. It's kind of super late right now. It's a little bit after 10 o'clock. And so I ended up wiping down, kind of straightening things out a little bit. I'll probably put a little bit more work into it tomorrow for sure. In the morning when I have a little bit more free time, it's the weekend. I don't know exactly what I'm going to be doing tomorrow since I ran my errands today, but I might just take a rest day. But during the day, I probably will chip at the kitchen and make it look a lot better and put a little bit more work into it than I have already. But yeah, overall, Dave, it was a pretty good day. I'd have to say about an 8. A lot of smooth things happen. I mean, the weird vibes kind of wanted to sneak in and stuff like that, but I didn't let it wreck or ruin my day, and things turned around for the better. As far as the craving level's concerned, I am not experiencing any cravings at all whatsoever. My craving levels are at a very low. I would even have to say 0. I mean, even yesterday and today listening to music, it didn't get me in my G mode or like party mode or anything like that where I was wanting, feeling those old smoker, drinker, party vibes, like I've been pretty relaxed today for the most part and just very grateful. And on that note, I love you guys. Thank you for stopping by and stay blessed.